Man, I had to do this whole shit the manual way, shut this motherfucker down and restart it back up. But with that being said, I'm going to get right back into the prediction so we can get these over with. Because I'm telling you now, I'm about to get this shit fixed in the next week or two. I'm going to have this internet fucking shit ordeal fixed. I got to get on that because that's not cool for these live streams, homie. So with that being said, yeah, my internet's at fucking 30% capacity or some shit. No, I fucking called him out like last week, bro. That's the problem. I called him out last week, but I'm not gonna tell y'all that story because by the time we get done, they're gonna be fucking, my internet's gonna be spiking. So we're about to get in to, boom, the fucking rest of this pay-per-view main card. Ethernet cable. Yeah, see, the thing is, where I'm at in the house, the modem's in the front room with my brother and his kids and all of that. I've got to be way back here so y'all don't hear the kids if they're crying or if him and his girl might be arguing or if anything stupid's going on. I'm way in the back, so y'all don't got to hear that. You know what I'm saying? So I can't really get closer to the modem because they also got Netflix and the games and shit they do. So yeah, you know what I'm saying? But in October, our lease is up, and I plan on getting my own shit. You know what I'm saying? 2-bedroom, my own little office thing. But as of right now, we're working with what we got. You know, like I said earlier in the motherfucking day, imagine like 6 months to a year from now, crystal clear internet, MMA memorabilia all behind me. Right now, we're just rocking. You know what I'm saying? So let's get back to this UFC 223 main card pay-per-view predictions. Little early for predictions, Pat. Yeah, that's why this is actually just like a preview. You know, we got three weeks to go. This is just doing the research. You know, and when I do my predictions, I don't even do the entire card. I'm just looking at the entire card, and I'll probably still look at it again in the future, and then I'll do my own actual prediction video where I fucking do offline research and shit like that. But right now we're just fucking chilling. You know what I'm saying, pal, motherfucker. So it is what it is for now, you know what I'm saying? Ali Quinta versus Paul Felder. Let's get into it. Ali Quinta top 10 ranked right now. 3 weeks is gonna fly. I know. I'm telling you, bro. The closer we get to these fights, specifically UFC 223, one of the first highly anticipated cards of the year, as far as by a lot of people. 2 title fights. Aside from UFC 220, this is the first card maybe with 2 title fights this year. UFC 220 had DC and Stipe, but Ali Quinta versus Paul Felder. I see you say Paul Felder's going to start raging estrogen. Ali Quinta said one way. I don't know, man. I looked at the odds because I was going to do my fake money for the fake money bankroll series I do. I was going to do that for Volkov versus what the fuck ever, Verdum. But they had, what's his name? They've got Iaquinta as the favorite. So you might want to bet some money on Felder if you feel that way. But that's interesting to me because I was kind of under that impression too. He's been way more active finishing guys. Iaquinta has been inactive. But I think, is Paul Felder coming up? Because he said like for this fight he was just eating a bunch. Did he used to fight at 145 and he's going up to 155 for this fight? Is that what's going on here? Was his fight versus Charles Oliveira at 145? 155. Okay, so yeah. That's interesting to me that, because you see, yeah, he's got a fucking 2 first-round KOs over Stevie Ray, and Alessandro Ricci, and then, of course, that second-round KO over Charles Oliveira. I mean, Paul Felder's been fucking stuff up. He's got the loss to Francisco Trinaldo. Other than that, went over Paul Felder's high level. He's lost to split decision, lost to doctor stoppage, Edson Barboza. Yeah, man, I might have Paul Felder going into this fight, and he's the underdog and unranked going into this. He's going to be fighting Ali Quinta, who's coming off of a KO over like Diego Sanchez. That's his only fight in like the last year and a half or two. He fought Diego Sanchez in April of 2017, so almost 1 year ago. He didn't fight at all in 2016, but he's been doing that fucking laser tag shit, you know. The lights come on. Been touching lights, you know what I'm saying? So he's been doing some scientific training and recuperating. So I'm probably rocking with Paul Felder in that fight. He's been way more active. And this win over Jorge Masvidal is very impressive, but do not let it fool you. I'm pretty sure Masvidal won that fight. I think the crowd thought so as well. That's why Quinta got in trouble when he was like, don't fucking boo me, you're all fucking idiots. Or he said some crazy stuff like that to the crowd. And he got, like, put on punishment, I think. Since then, he's been doing real estate. I'm sure he's been focusing on that real estate, trying to get that paper. So I just feel like Paul Felder's been engulfed in fighting, commentating, getting ready for his own fights, fucking commentating even for the Contender Series. I got Paul Felder. He's been divulging, like, he's been just engulfing his whole fucking life in MMA, while Ally Quinta's been inactive doing real estate. So I got Paul Felder. Boom. Even though my guy Ally Quinta has been touching those lights, I'll be seeing him. Michael Chiesa versus Anthony Pettis. We talked about Sergio Pettis. Now we're talking about Anthony Pettis. This fight's going to be a fun fight, man. Who's going to win this fight? Let's see. UFC 223. I'm pretty sure who's higher ranked. Michael Chiesa's ranked 9. Anthony Pettis ranked 12 at lightweight. Anthony Pettis is coming off of the loss to Dustin Poirier, if I'm not mistaken. Before that, a win over Jim Miller. Lost to the champ Max Holloway. Win over Charles Oliveira. Lost to Barboza. Lost to Alvarez. Lost to RDA. Win over Gilbert. Win over Benson. Win over Cerrone. Let's see how Michael Chiesa's been doing. I mean, how old is he? He's not even that old. He's only 31, right? Michael Chiesa is probably about the same age. Lost to Kevin Lee in his most recent fight. Before that, he beat Beneil Dariush. Beat Jim Miller. Beat Mitch Clark. Lost to Joe Lozon. Might have been winning that fight, though, it looks like. Lost to Joe Duffy. Lost to Alex White. This is interesting. Beat Francisco Trinaldo. Lost to Joe Lozon. Anthony Pettis. He lost to Joe Lozon in 2014. Anthony Pettis fought Joe Lozon win in 2012. Interesting. He's been fighting the best of the best, man. My fucking throat is dry, bro. For some reason, I'm leaning toward Pettis just because he's literally been fighting nothing but fucking straight killers, except for Jim Miller right here, even though Jim Miller was. I'm just saying, like, championship level fighters. Max Holloway, Dustin Poirier, Charles Oliveira, not so much, but Edson Barboza, Eddie Alvarez, RDA. I got fucked up by RDA. Eddie Alvarez, I was closer, but he was getting taken down. Michael Chiesa probably can secure the takedown here in this fight. He'll probably be able to secure a few takedowns, because it seems like that's really Anthony Pettis' weakness. He gets taken down like a lot. And we just saw in Michael Chiesa's, you know, he can get some takedowns. One of these fights, he had, 4 takedowns versus Mitch Clark. You know, he usually scores at least 1 or 2 takedowns in his fights. So he'll probably get some takedowns, but the question is, will Michael Chiesa finish Anthony Pettis with the takedowns? I got Michael Chiesa in this fight unless Anthony Pettis can pull off a submission, I'm thinking. I think Michael Chiesa will be able to score the takedown whenever he needs to. Pettis might have the striking advantage, but he might not. Honestly, who knows? For all we know, on paper he probably does. But as far as the grappling is concerned, even though Anthony Pettis, like in this fight, which one of these fights? Charles Oliveira, you know, he got that submission, or Charles Oliveira could have possibly won the fight, but I don't. If this fight happened to go kind of like the Charles Oliveira fight, which I'm just saying it is because of Michael Chiesa, you know, he might be trying to submit you. if it happens to go like that, into the grappling, I don't know if Anthony Pettis is going to be able to get that 3rd round submission on Michael Chiesa. But I mean, going into the Kevin Lee fight, you probably wouldn't have thought Kevin Lee was going to submit Michael Chiesa. I mean, you could have. But he fought Beneil Dariush and submitted Beneil Dariush, who's pretty high level in jiu-jitsu. I'm going to pick Michael Chiesa to win that fight. Just on these first look predictions. Pettis did his thug this, but Michael Chiesa, just because he lost to Kevin Lee, he's still a beast, bro. Alright, so next we got Renato Moicano versus Calvin Kattar. Let's fucking get going on that fight. This fight probably not as known to everybody else. What is it saying? My fucking stream is off, bro? I know it's not. I'll be tripping. What? Let's see. I don't know if we're on or off. We'll see. It should be on. It says we're streaming on OBS, but I gotta check YouTube. Alright, yeah, we're on. Okay. Did you do Ali Quinta and Paul Felder? Yeah, I did. Moicano is a killer, strong stand-up and a good ground game. Yeah, man, I was really surprised. I told you, I seen the odds for the main card before this. I was really surprised that Calvin Kattar was the favorite. Renato Moicano was undefeated, and he was beating Brian Ortega. Only loss was because he got submitted like toward the end of the fight. Watch. Let me go to these fucking... And Calvin Kattar, he fought Shane Burgos, but he's only got like 2 UFC fights. Even though he came up like in Boston, he's 18-2, and he looked really good versus Shane Burgos. His only other win was Andre Fili, which is still pretty high level. Andre Fili coming out of Team Alpha Male, that's no slouch. But Renato Moicano, fucking check this guy out, man. In the UFC, he's 11-1-1. That lost to Brian Ortega, but other than that, he's got a win over Jeremy Stevens, and he was beating Brian Ortega. 2 takedowns, 109-65 strikes, but then he got submitted in Fight of the Night. But if Renato Moicano beat Brian Ortega, he'd have win over Jeremy Stevens and Brian Ortega, 2 guys in the top 5 of the division. You know what I'm saying? So that's very impressive. But he ended up losing, and now he's fighting Calvin Kattar. Calvin Kattar ain't fucking been fighting no Jeremy Stevens or no, Cub Swanson or Brian Ortega, or he fought Andre Fili. But it just feels like Renato Moicano. I mean, I'll have to go back and we'll have to go to probably Sherdog really for this fight. Calvin, and see who these guys have been fighting. Kattar. The Boston finisher. So he was fighting here in the CES MMA. Let's check what these guys' records were. 11-5. When he fought Calvin Kattar, he had 2 less wins. He was 9-4. So he fought a guy that was 9-4, but I mean, still pretty. That's not a scrub. Kenny Foster is 12-12. That's kind of like okay. He took a 3-year layoff between here and here. 2013, he fought this guy. Then he came back and fought a guy that was about 500 to get his feet wet. Came back and fought this guy, Chris Foster. So, I mean, to be fighting Renato Moicano, who's got a win over Jeremy Stevens, and almost beat Brian Ortega. You know what I'm saying? He fought this guy, though, when he was 5-0. I mean, he hasn't been fighting anybody on his level, per se, except until he got in the UFC. Like, these 3 guys weren't on his level. When he fought this guy, he was 15-2, and that guy was 5-0. He was 16-2, and that guy was 12-11. He was 17-2, and that guy was 9-3. You know what I'm saying? So, these guys were not on his level when he fought him. But Andre Fili, it's hard to say the same thing about. Andre Fili is fucking from Team Alpha Male, fighting the likes of Dennis Bermudez, Artem Lobov, Hakran Diaz. So, that's an impressive win for Calvin Kattar. But then, Shane Burgos, he was like 9-0, right? He was 10-0. So he's picked up a couple impressive wins since here. He had 3 wins in the UFC, and Calvin Kattar took him out. That was a good fight, though. I gotta lean just on paper. I've got to lean toward Renato Moicano on paper. He's what, 28 years old? How old is Calvin Kattar? 29, about the same age. Let's see, 72 inches of reach. 72, little longer legs. I'm rolling with Renato Moicano, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to have to check these guys out, but Jeremy Stephens and Brian Ortega, come on. He was winning both of those fights on the fight. This guy's no slouch. Like, I don't know who the fuck this is, but he's only 27 with 22 fights. Fucking 18-4. 3 wins in the UFC before losing to Renato Moicano. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm fucking rocking with Renato Moicano. I'm about to make some money on this card. I feel like Joanna's an underdog, I think. You know, she's a favorite, but I think more people are going to bet on Rose. Paul Felder's an underdog, bro. There's going to be a lot of money to be made at UFC 223, I think. I think the odds makers, maybe they know what they're doing, but I feel like Renato Moicano should probably be a favorite in that fight, and he's not. I feel like Paul Felder should be a favorite, and he's not. There's a couple underdogs, man. Fuck around and get some parlays off on this card. I don't know. I'd probably just bet straight across. I'd probably bet on Felder and Moicano and Joanna. I'd put money on all 3 of them fights. Joanna versus Rose. I can just show you guys my predictions. I'm hashtag and new. That's one thing that will remain consistent for UFC 223. Hashtag and new. And I fucking hate fucking making these X's, bro. Oh, I fucking hate making these X's, bro. Because I fuck with Rose Namajunas and I fuck with Tony Ferguson. But I fucks with all 4 of these fighters. I just feel like Joanna is not chopped liver. If she wins, you know, Rose is trying to take everything Joanna worked for. Kind of like Conor McGregor. You know, Rose came through. You know, Joanna built herself up to be the boogie woman, beat everyone in the division. She's the one that built up the division, essentially, and now Rose beat her, and everyone's in love with Rose. Like, yeah, she's the good girl. She's the queen of the division now. Like, everybody is just treating Joanna like straight chopped liver, straight disrespect. No one gives a fuck. Just... oh, yeah, Rose beat her. She's training with Valentina. They're treating Rose Namajunas like she is Valentina Shevchenko. And I get it. That could be the case. She could. Joanna might have the fucking secret ingredient of, hey, all you got to do is this. And you beat her. I do believe Valentina has the secret to beating Joanna Jędrzejczyk. But I'm just not convinced Joanna Jędrzejczyk is fucking chopped liver. And if she does win, it sets up a huge, crazy trilogy. But if Rose wins, hey, then you guys are all right, and I'm fucking wrong. But we'll see what happens. As of right now, Joanna's the favorite, but I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of people that start to put money on Rose Namajunas, and then that starts to change. I think Joanna Jędrzejczyk's going to become the underdog the closer we get to the fight. So if you think Rose Namajunas is going to win, you might want to put your money on her now, because I know a lot of people are probably going to bet money on Rose because they think that, you know, and it's true that she is training with Valentina. So a lot of people just expect Rose to run through Joanna. So people are going to start putting money on that, and then Joanna's going to start becoming more of a underdog or more of a favorite. So we'll see what happens with that. But I got Joanna Jędrzejczyk in the rematch. She's been making a couple excuses for the loss, but she ain't been out just talking major trash. You ain't been seeing her do a whole bunch of nothing since that loss. I'm sure she is in there fucking mad at herself. Writing on, you don't want to see the messages on her fucking water bottles that she's writing. They are not safe for work. The shit that she's probably writing on her water bottles, she probably wouldn't want her kids to see. Joanna Jędrzejczyk is probably writing fucking devil fucking worship on them bottles. I don't know what she's writing. I'm just telling you, do not read Joanna Jędrzejczyk's water bottles in the lead up to this fight, because it's probably going to be some hot shit on there, bro. Some crazy shit. I mean, you might not look at Joanna Jędrzejczyk the same way if you read her fucking water bottles. Of leading up to this fight, that's all I'm saying. So we'll move into the main event, but I got Joanna to get her belt back. Hashtag and new. And then Khabib versus Tony Ferguson. Holy fuck. A champion 2-1 underdog gets no respect. You know, it's kind of like Stipe versus Francis Ngannou a little bit. Like, everyone's just predicting him to roll over you. You're the champion. He's the challenger. You've been winning. You earned your spot. You know, but everyone just expects this challenger to just fucking roll over you. But in this case, I think we've seen more from Khabib than we had from Francis in that case. And also, Tony Ferguson's game plan kind of plays into Khabib's fighting style. But you could also say the same vice versa. Khabib wants to take you down and Tony Ferguson's dangerous off his back. But I don't know how dangerous you have to be off your back to really deal with Khabib. I'm sure, you know, Khabib's probably letting people elbow him in the face in his training camp just to lead up, you know, just so he can feel it. He's probably letting a couple people hit him with some sharp-ass elbows just so he has that feeling. And whenever Tony Ferguson's throwing them at him, he's been there before. He probably is letting people choke him unconscious. You know what I'm saying? Just ready for this fight. I just feel like Khabib's coming into this fight with the whole fucking world, not even just a chip on his shoulder. This nigga's got a goddamn a whole potato and shit up there, bro. My nigga, he's coming into this fight. He's got his opportunity. It's for the real belt. The fight's gonna happen. He's not missing weight. Conor's gonna be stripped. This is Khabib's fucking moment. There's no bear. There's no fighter. There's no executive. There's nothing that's going to stop Khabib from... This nigga would probably literally rather die than lose this fight to Tony Ferguson. I don't know how the fights are going to go, but I'll tell you one thing that I would be willing to bet the farm on. You won't see Khabib tapping out. Even if Khabib gets submitted, he's not tapping out. My nigga's going straight to sleep. He's not tapping out. It's not an option. You're going to have to put him out of this fight. I just see that type of motivation from Khabib. You know what I'm saying? And shit like that. And I know Tony Ferguson probably feels the same way, but Khabib just seems like he's, you know, a little bigger as far as, you know, his grappling is concerned, having that weight advantage. He's a really big guy. You see him fucking taking down. He trains with Luke Rockhold and Daniel Cormier and Cain Velasquez and takes those guys down. So it's not really a question of can he take Ferguson down. It's a question of what can Tony Ferguson do to not end up like a majority of Khabib's opponents. You know what I'm saying? Helpless. And his plan is going to be to attack from his back, go for a submission, and I'm going to be there. If Tony Ferguson wins, it's not like I'm going to be like, you know, it's going to be like he shocked the world, even though he's the champ. Even though we know he can do it, I don't know, it just feels crazy. Like, you know, I even kind of feel like it's Khabib's fight to lose, even though Tony Ferguson's the champion. And a lot of fucking MMA fans understand Tony Ferguson is the real deal and he's a fighter's fighter, but you just got that feeling that Khabib's going to win. And there's a couple people that might just not like Khabib, but to me, as of right now, it just feels like Khabib time. You know what I'm saying? Nobody talk about Tony time. Everybody talk about Khabib time. So with that being said, I'm picking Khabib Nurmagomedov to get the W and the belt. And then I think no matter what happens after that, Khabib's probably going to do Ramadan after that. And then no matter what after this fight, I think we see next Eddie Alvarez versus Tony Ferguson. If Tony Ferguson loses, Khabib's going to be the champion and he's going to be doing Ramadan. And then we'll probably see a #1 title contender fight between Ferguson and Alvarez. If Tony Ferguson wins and becomes the champion, the #1 contender is Alvarez. So no matter what happens in this fight, I think the next fight is Tony Ferguson versus Eddie Alvarez. But I don't know who's going to be the champion for that fight. It's not going to be Conor because he's supposed to be getting stripped as soon as one punch is thrown in this fight. But we'll see what happens. It could be Khabib. It could be Ferguson. It's going to be a great night of fights. That's UFC 223. So I'm about to check out what the full-time family's got to say. And then we're probably going to shut the stream down before we hit another fucking lag spike. You know what I'm saying? So let's pull up the chat. We got it right here. Bang. Let's see. Jamaican Mike Hale said, don't just pick from what they look like on paper. These styles make fights. Clay Guida beat the champ Pettis' first fight because of his wrestling. I don't go off of just on paper, you know what I'm saying? I go off of the style and, you know, the depth of the resume too. Like, I don't just go off this guy's beat this guy, but yeah, I do a little more in depth than that. But yeah, I see what you're saying, but you also can't just go off of styles because, like, you know, just because somebody's really good with jiu-jitsu doesn't mean they're going to submit a wrestler. It's not like rock, paper, scissors. You know, Brian Ortega, nobody predicted a knockout. So just because you know a guy's style, that doesn't mean that's how the fight's going to play out necessarily either. Let's go back up a little bit. He said, one way said, Moicano has an all-around better style and good fight IQ. He fights differently with all of his opponents. And he's the underdog, bro. I wish if I was in Vegas, I'd probably bet $200 on Moicano right now. Cater is the new breed, said Jamaican Mike Hales. I don't know much about Cater, honestly. I just looking at his Shirt Dog record, you know what I'm saying? He took that 3-year break, and then he fought a guy that was like 12-12 and shit like that. So I was just kind of like, Moicano's been fighting killers. I think Moicano's the new breed. He's got the win over Stevens. He had the win over fucking Brian Ortega, except for he got submitted at the very end. One way said, Joanna, I'd pick Ferguson. Hey, man, if you're picking Ferguson, you can make some money. This is a card where you can make a lot of fucking money, bro. Somebody that's really got some money can probably make it on this card, because a lot of people feel like Ferguson can win and he's the underdog. A lot of people feel like Joanna Rose is going to win. She's the underdog. A lot of people feel like Moicano can win. He's the underdog. Felder, underdog. A lot of these fucking underdogs people are picking to win. What I'm saying is all of these are what they call live underdogs. So whichever one you feel the strong, there's some chance to win some fucking money. I'll probably bet on Felder and Moicano and maybe even Joanna. These are the three that I'm, you know, I don't want to put, Tony Ferguson, I might just, you know, him being an underdog might just be worth betting like $25-50, but I don't know. You probably just I just feel like Khabib's probably going to win. But yeah, I don't know. It just, every time you feel like Khabib's going to win, it feels like you're disrespecting Tony Ferguson. Like when you're like, Khabib's going to win, it's like, you know, it feels like you're disregarding Tony Ferguson. Brendan Shouts Pink Boo said, Tony Ferguson full-time, baby. What is you doing? Bro, it's Khabib time. That's what I'm saying. It feels like you disrespect Tony Ferguson when you pick against him, but, I mean, Khabib has been mauling shit. Literally mauling shit. Ferguson, he's been winning his fights, but he's usually in trouble. You know what I'm saying? Versus Leonardo Venata, he was in trouble. Versus Kevin Lee, he was in trouble. I mean, he pulls it out, but he be in trouble. One way said Tony Ferguson has great jiu-jitsu, all-around wrestling, and deadly elbows on the inside for sure. Jack the Stripper said Rose's style nightmare for Joanna. I'll take Thug Dizzle. Yeah, man, that's the thing. She's a bad style matchup, you know what I'm saying? And she trains with Valentina, so hey, man, it might be Rose's time. One way said I'd laugh if Tony Amari rolled Khabib and wins. Oh shit, I see bad video settings. Are we still live? Okay, we're still live. Platinum Pablo Escobar said I got Khabib, Thug Rose, Chiesa, Iaquinta, and I don't know between Cater and Moicano. Arlovsky for the win. Goat said All Pro Leamington. Later, fam, said Jack the Stripper. Alright, later, brother. I'm probably about to get off of here too. One way said full time you got to parlay Moicano and Paul Felder. I don't even know how to parlay. I've heard of parlay, and I know it means you like pick multiple fights, but I ain't never been to Vegas or no shit like that. I'm still trying to get Bet DSI to let me in the motherfucking game. You know what I'm saying? Bullshit. But yeah, I generally know what a parlay is, but I don't know how it works. I don't know if you can parlay with 2 fighters or if you have to pick like 4 of them motherfuckers. Alright, I'm about to get out of here, y'all. All Pro Limited said Kevin Lee sleeps Khabib. Gonna be a fun fight. The Holthus family compound said, hey guys. And one way said DraftKings. Alright, y'all, thanks for coming through. I'm about to shut it down. This was the first look at the UFC 223 full card, live preview and predictions. With that being said, it is what it is. I'll probably do some more news later. Let the full-time family know what you think in the comments, and thanks for hanging out with your boy. I'm out. And my niece is just starting to cry. Perfect timing.